schools. Schools shouldn't be asking for a voluntary contribution.
I'm sure we'll swiftly hear from schools in reaction to that. But first, I want to get a reaction from a principal, because earlier we spoke to Rachel Harper, who's principal at St Patrick's National School in Greystones, and I began by asking her what she was seeing on the ground.
Yes, I think in general, parents are definitely feeling the impact of returning to school along with spiralling costs of living increases. And parents are, they're making more conscious decisions, such as leaving the car behind and walking and cycling where possible, or carpooling. And regarding extracurricular activities, they might be cutting down on those. And speaking with other principals in the area, we're certainly noticing that families are unfortunately having to move their children who are perfectly happy out of school simply because they can't keep up with spiralling rents. And also, if they are considering buying, that they have to move out of the area because they simply can't afford housing in the area. But I think, to be honest, Claire, it's very hard to know how many families exactly are struggling in school. I'm sure there's a lot more than we're aware of, and there will be a lot more in the future.
And Rachel, what can schools do to help?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things, and schools are definitely trying their best, that's for sure. I know that most schools have put in the book rental scheme, and that just helps parents simply because they don't have to buy the whole amount of books. They can rent the books, and following on in the next year, then they can be passed on. But I really want to emphasise and get across tonight, Claire, that if there are families out there and they are struggling, it's really important that they go to their principal, because their principal will liaise with the Board of Management. And if the Board of Management and the school can help, they certainly will. And if they need outside support, so they'll direct them to the correct agencies or supports that are needed. It's just important to notify the school.
The issue of voluntary contributions is something that's been put into the spotlight as a result of the cost of living crisis and the struggles that many parents have with school costs. Would you say that that's, from a school's perspective, a lack of funding in schools that means that cost, is passed on to parents?
Yes, I mean, like the government, we do get grants. We do get various grants throughout the year, but there's always a shortfall, I do agree. But I think it's really important to remember and to highlight that voluntary contributions are voluntary. So there's no pressure put on parents to pay them. But if they can pay them, they're certainly utilised greatly within the school, the day-to-day running, and, keeping schools to the standard that they are.
OK, Rachel Harper, principal at Greystone St Patrick's School, thank you so much for joining us tonight with your views there.